is your favorite story timer, Annie, and her best pal, E. And today, we're going to be talking about the difference between morally white characters and morally black characters. Now, you know that the last time I wore a white shirt, and now I am wearing a black shirt just to match the special occasion. So, let's see. When it comes to morally white characters, like last time, there's still the good person. And yes, they have their flaws, but these flaws aren't major for the plot, and they're not going to be mentioned in the plot. And these flaws are very human. From forgetting to brush your teeth at night, to accidentally eating the last cookie in the cookie jar. So that's the morally white person. Now, morally black people, while they actually have goodly bad morals, they will not apologize for eating the last cookie in the cookie jar, and they probably don't brush their teeth at all, or very seldom. And yes, that's the villain of the story usually. Okay, so now you know the difference between morally black characters and morally white characters. We are going to be talking about another one of those morally gray characters in one of my other favorite series of all time. And specifically, this one isn't as well known as the great chosen one, Harry Potter. This one is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series. Yes, you know it, you probably love it. First person point of view books are always my personal favorite, easiest to read. And Jake is your main character. And you just figured out he is peculiar. After 2 books of adventures and pain and love and friendship and glory, we get to the 3rd book, where we meet the morally gray character, MYRON BENTHAM. Weird name, am I right? Well, Ransom Riggs knew his stuff. Because this guy, he is the most morally gray character you're ever going to look at. Let me explain. So, he's this very fancy smancy guy living in Devil's Acre in a house that is meant for him, with everything you think a fancy smancy guy living in the 1800s, baddest part of England would need, including his Grim Bear, which, because he can barely use his legs, poor thing, he has to have the Grim Bear carry him around, and that's MYRON Bentham. Well, Jake and Emma, they find themselves in his house. And in his house is something that he tells a story, because they're shivering, they're cold. They had to cross a very, very freezing lake to get to him. And then they're just sitting there in blankets and shirt sleeves, and Emma's wearing a dress that makes her look like Big Bird, and Jake looks like Mr. Rogers, 2 things that people from the 1800s wouldn't know. So, but anyway, yeah. So Jake and Emma, they're just sitting there all freezy shivery in blankets and things, and MYRON Bentham, he's like, okay, to know, my brother Call. Red flags, red flags, red flags. Because Call, he's a white, which is the equivalent to a Death Eater without pupils. And they're and then Jake goes, you're a white. And he's like, I'm not a white. And his assistant Nim is like, Master isn't a white. And so they check his eyes are good, he's not a white. But he did cause the Hologast a creation, which makes him a morally black character. Because he created Hologasts. It was his idea. He wanted to get rid of his brother and all of his brother's friends, acquaintances, followers. This guy sort of sounds like Voldemort, doesn't he? Well, Call, the equivalent of Voldemort, and all of his Death Eater followers, they go into the crater thingy with all the explosion and more craters and specific place all blown up. It's like, and then we get this one certain thing, and they're all white and hollows. Well, first they're hollows, and they eat white, peculiar bodies and turn into whites. So yes, it makes him the morally black character. But then he says this: I apologize. And apologizing is the one thing that actually, it actually gets you somewhere. Apologizing makes the morally black character become a morally gray character, because they feel bad for what they did. Right. And so he takes Emma and Jake into the place, right? He fades it off in this big epic battle at the end of the third book. And then he goes back to being a morally black character and joining his brother Cole and apologizing for apologizing. See, this guy is what makes him a morally gray character, because he's so confusing. He's terribly confusing. Like, I guess Ransom Riggs couldn't make up his mind or something. Well, anyway, we have that. Then there's also the thing where after a while, when they get to the Library of Souls, which is the title of the third book, when they're in the Library of Souls and Jake is like just grabbing jars off the shelves and they're all just chaotic and everyone's drooling at the mouth because it's just beautiful and they want to have peculiarities because they're all whites here except for MYRON Bentham. He apologizes again and he gives a slip of paper as the two brothers are fighting, before they fight actually, like, because he like needs to like consume Jake's grandfather's soul and like just he drinks it up like delicious, because he like pours it into a pool and steps into it, like, and then he's there and he's like, okay, here's a paper, hurry, you gotta read it, Miss Peregrine, please, insist, it's gonna help, because Miss Peregrine's two brothers are Cole and Bentham. Is like, sister, please do this, you and your little Emberine friendies, just do it. And she takes the paper, she's like, I trust you, brother. And then those two guys are fighting as boys will do. I won't understand you guys out there. Maybe you can explain yourselves in the comments. But anyway, as the boys are fighting, he becomes the good guy again. He ends himself on a note where like he is now officially from good to bad to good to bad to bad to good to bad, switchy switchy. It makes him a morally gray character in my eyes. See, like my beautiful shirt here. It's morally gray. And it's just really confusing, isn't it? Yeah, I understand. Now here, we have the problem. A morally gray character, or any character in your book for that matter, if they can't decide if they want to be good or bad or good, then don't create them at all unless they move the plot. For the sake of Ransom Riggs, let him slide. It's Miss Peregrine's brother, and you need to know about both of the boys to understand Miss Peregrine, who can turn into a peregrine falcon, because she's an Emberine, right? And like, so do morally gray characters, do they have a good light in your eyes? And do you want them to have a good light in your eyes? Let me know down in the comments section below. Tell me your thoughts. And I wonder, what would it mean to you for Snape and MYRON Bentham to have a battle? This is the fun part. Because Bentham with his grim bear and Snape with his wand, they could go on at it for days. So what do you think? Who would win a 1v1? If you think it's Professor Severus Snape, then put that little magic wand emoji in the comments. And if it's MYRON Bentham, you can put the bear emoji in the comments, with the word grim in front of it. So you got like grim and then the emoji bear, just to let me know, because I might be confused if you put a bear emoji up for no reason in particular. Yeah, like, what do you think? I want to see your guys' ideas on who would win a fight, Snape or Bentham. So this seems to be the end. Tune in next time for more awesome adventures with Anytime Storytime and her wonderful pal E. Adios, amigos.